You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. With front-end gross profits shrinking, the role of the finance department has become more crucial than ever before. Joining us now in the studio to discuss this further is Cory Collins, speaker and National F&I Trainer for Automotive Reinsurance Concepts. Cory, thank you so much for coming into the studio and joining us on CBT.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is a dream come true to be here. You know, my mom would be so excited. I'm on the news and it's not breathing back.
There you go. There you go. Well, we're glad that you're here. As I mentioned, you know, F&I is at the top of every dealer's, mind right now to say, okay, with front-end gross profits dwindling because of inventories back to where they were to pre-COVID levels, F&I is kind of like that last frontier, that it's like, please don't take away this strong PVR that we've enjoyed. Talk to us about that. I mean, dealers right now are just trying to hang on to every gross dollar that they can, right?
You're right, and in the independent space, and I deal with some of the largest independent dealers in the country.
Sure.
And they are shifting all of their marketing efforts to making sure that they're the most competitive dealer in their market.
Yeah.
So they keep their lead generation strong, they keep their volume strong. But if you're a major operation and you're selling 500 or 600 used cars a month, and you're advertising at 92 to 93% of your market, you can't replenish your inventory for 92 to 93% of market.
Right.
So the only way that you can continue to do that long term is a successful F&I department.
That's
it's
right.
crucial, and it's not, an average department. You need top level performers, and they have to show up every day and be a top level performer. And so it's about having the right coach in place to work with that team daily to make sure that we don't fall off the pace, because it's just a must-have in order for the operation to continue to thrive.
That's right. We talked a little bit about this before we started recording today, but you've seen an influx in cash deals among your clients out there, right? Talk to us about that, because cash deal, I'm an ex-F&I manager myself, and that was the last thing that I wanted to hear was that we had a cash deal, right? They're tougher to sell. They have to be dealt with differently than the captive finance buyer that comes in. But talk to us about that. A, why are we seeing more cash, and then what do we do about that?
Well, I think you're seeing more cash is because I think that people are buying now, have waited for the price to come down.
Okay.
And they're buying now, but they're not in a position where they're going to pay a crazy high interest rate.
Right.
You're lucky if you could get a 6 to 7.5% for the last 60 days.
Yeah.
Well, now you have some outside financing companies that are able to get in the short fives. And so that's making a difference in outside liens. But as far as cash, I just think the consumer we're getting right now are the consumers that were the wait till the deal got right, and now that the deal's right, they're in that kind of position where they have the ability to come in and write a check for a car. But you made a really good point there about being an F&I manager and not understanding what a cash deal really is. It's easy to think this is a tough deal. I'm just going to wait for the finance deal, and then I'm going to give them what I got, right? And so when you can teach an F&I department to understand that every deal is an opportunity.
Yeah, it is.
And you can't discredit how they're going to pay for it. You need to get excited either way that you've got one, because if you don't get excited about the opportunity, your salespeople pick up on it. And when your salespeople pick up on it, then every time they bring a deal back, they don't want to do it. They know that you're going to be grumpy because you got this cash deal coming, versus if we're going to have a team mentality, and F&I is a team sport. If we're going to make that department successful, then everybody has to work together. And if you're grumpy every time you get a cash deal, you're not working together. You might think you are, but you're not.
What are some of the tips that you can lend to avoid more cash deals? I came from the school that you got the F&I manager in early and often into the transaction, so that you knew going in, rather than being surprised and going, what's this credit union check, or what's this check coming from a bank? Maybe it's their savings account or a HELOC, part of their HELOC loan, or what have you. We knew early on, so we could do a cash conversion. Is that still the way to go?
Yeah, that's 100% still the way to go. And as sad as it is, a lot of F&I managers, they suffer from this I can't get out of my chair disease, and they don't want to go out there and talk to the customer. But the F&I managers that go out and get involved early, customers can feel and they can sense that sense of service, and that you're really out for their best interest. And right now, if you've got a customer inside the showroom and you're working a deal, we all know when interest rates come back to reality, everybody and their brother is going to refinance a car. It's no brainer.
Right.
So
Good
why
point.
not just take advantage of the time savings that we can offer
That's right.
to set you up with our in-house financing,
Yeah.
and then 5 months from now, 6 months from now, just like everybody else,
Yeah.
when you refinance, you've still got your lender in your back pocket, only you didn't waste 2 days buying this car. We got it done for you in less than an hour.
That's right.
So you have to make it about service and ease of doing business, because that's what's important.
There's no question about it. I worked with an F&I manager, and if he couldn't make 2 points on a deal, he didn't do the deal. And obviously, I had a problem with that as a finance manager, because he was one of the closers. I'm like, wait, you're killing me, because I need that 800 credit score to sweeten the pie with some of the challenge credit. So even if you're making a half a point, if you're making a quarter of a point, heck, if you're doing it a retention, it still has a tremendous value to us to get all of the other deals bought. So I can use that as leverage, right?
No, you're 100% right. One of the things I do when I go into my personal clients every month is I bring all the F&I managers together with the sales managers, the desk managers, the GM, and the owner, and we go through what's called an AAR report. It's an after-action report. One of the things I'm always quick to point out is here is the average finance reserve last month inside the store. So if 70% of our customers finance, and our average reserve, when we tie them all together, buy rate, 2 points, is $700, then we know that the value of a customer that says, yes, I'll finance, is $700.
Yeah.
And so I always like to keep that in front of them as to, here's how important it is that you get involved early. If you don't, this is what you're taking away, not from you personally, but from the store also.
Right.
We want you to get where you want to go, but the store has to get where the store needs to go.
That's right. That's right. I purchased a vehicle recently and tried to convey to the individual, in the F&I office that, hey, I'm kind of one of you and I'm in the industry and what have you. But man, did he get mad when I didn't buy any products. I mean, you could see it. Even my wife was like, wow, this guy took on a whole new persona and an attitude with us because we didn't want the service contract, and we didn't want the tire and wheel, and we didn't want the credit life, and I kind of told him on the outside that, hey, and you could see this guy change, and I know F&I managers do that. That's a major mistake, right?
It's a huge mistake. If a customer says no,
Yeah.
and you know going in, okay, he or she, they're one of us. They work at they work at another car dealership. They're affiliated with a car business. They know, right?
Yeah.
So the right approach is, hey, listen, if you want one, this is what our cost is.
Right.
I'm after the penetration.
Right.
I'm going to mark it up $50 so I can count it.
Yeah.
And here's what we're looking at. That's the right way to handle it.
Yeah.
The wrong way to handle it is just get angry and upset because all he did or she did, whoever the F&I manager was, all they did was steal from themselves the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Because when you get that 5 minutes that's wrong, it can be 5 hours that it continues to stay with you for nothing.
That's right.
It was one deal. There was a deal behind you.
That's right. It affects the next, and it also affects CSI, because I did not give them a bad CSI score, I promise, because I know the value of that, but it will with the average consumer. If that F&I manager is the last manager they come in contact with, before they take delivery of their car, and that's not a pleasurable experience, or that customer feels tense over this, then they're going to go, hey man, I'm never, I'm getting the CSI, and I'm telling them, did not like that,
Yep, you're 100%
F&I managers
right.
just can't do that if they don't have a deal, right?
You're right. And one of the things that I train on constantly is, brands like Coke and Pepsi and Doritos, they spend billions of dollars on advertising and marketing.
Yeah.
Dealers have such an opportunity to brand and market from the finance office.
Yeah.
And it's often completely overlooked.
Yep.
So I think that's one of the things that make, even my F&I training classes unique, is that I spend a lot of time talking about that because you're the last person they see before they leave.
That's right.
So that's why when there's an issue with the car, they don't call the salesperson, they call the F&I manager.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's so important that you take that opportunity to tell your customer, listen, our process is built on 2 things, customer satisfaction, but even more importantly, customer retention.
Yeah.
You talk about stand out from every other dealer within 50 miles of you. If you tell your customer, we just don't want to make you happy, we want to keep you permanently.
Yeah.
And that's why we do what we do, and this is what makes us different.
Sure.
You're a game changer compared to everybody
That's
else.
right. That's right. Now, everybody's going to be running into dealerships this weekend, and they did last weekend, and go, oh, the rates are down. They're coming down. We both know, we've been around long enough to know it doesn't work quite that way. What's a good comeback for an F&I manager that's got somebody sitting in front of them? Oh, no, rates are coming down. You can do way better than that. You're trying to take me to the cleaners on this, when in reality the banks just didn't respond that quickly, and they sometimes don't because they're looking at a different metric, right, before they lower rates.
You know, you're 100% right. It's different from the banks, but what's really surprising to me is how quickly the credit unions have responded.
Yeah.
So just this week, I've been in North Carolina this week, they've already adjusted rates there.
Wow. Yeah.
And I mean, pretty substantial drops. So
Yeah.
you can get very competitive financing inside dealerships right now in the North and South Carolina markets
Yeah.
because those credit unions were quick to respond.
Sure.
And so it is unique, but you're right. A lot of your major banks,
Yeah.
they're very slow to adjust
right.
and adapt to the rate. So, you know, and I think that everybody, I think banks, credit unions, you know, all financial institutions have felt the pinch of these high interest rates.
Yeah.
You know, they got away from the volume model and went to the gross model.
Yeah.
Well, now the gross model's over because we're using our cash.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to go back to the volume model. They're
That's
going to
right.
have to go back to how competitive can we make this interest rate to get
Yeah.
people to want to, you know, walk through the door and finance, you know, because the bank's facing the same thing we are. They got to lend money to keep things rolling.
That's right. That's right. Now you're known on the street as Cory 3K Collins, right? So there's not a dealer out there, well, unless you're maybe a high-line dealer that doesn't want to be making 3K PVR, you know, all day long, right? On all their units. Is that kind of the new target? Is to make $3,000 on a copy?
You know, I think that is, and I think it's a realistic target. But I think it's important to understand that there are two types of F&I managers that run $3,000 a car. There's one that will ruin your dealership permanently, and your customers will never come back.
Yeah, but you'll have a great few months.
You'll have a great few months till the chargebacks come.
That's right.
But then there's the other kind of F&I manager that does things differently than everyone else,
Yeah.
that sets them apart. And I'm all about that because I feel like, you know, an average customer that comes into your office is set in front of 4 F&I managers before they even got to you over their buying time.
Yeah.
And so what makes you different from the 4 F&I managers they set in front of before?
Right.
Right? And that's why most people that come into a dealership, they don't want to mess with the F&I process. They have no interest in it, and they're upset before they even go into the office. But how unique is it when you walk into that office and it's completely different?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, let's get your paperwork knocked out. Oh, by the way, our dealership does things different because we focus on satisfaction and retention.
Yeah, just keep
Let me show
driving
you
that
how this
point
works.
home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every opportunity you get to say customer satisfaction, customer retention, all you're doing is developing a foundation that you're going to continue to build on. You know, and then going out of your way to explain why the products and services you offer make you different from anybody else. And you know, I'm all about that because I think it just creates such a different, you know, experience for the customer that they latch onto and they remember.
Yeah, for sure. What are the most common objections that F&I managers are getting today as the industry has normalized a little bit?
You know, I think
We talked about a few of them, but
no, the biggest objection that I think exists is they don't build enough value.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm, you know, let's go back to cash deals for a second. If I'm writing a check for a car, it's different than if I'm financing a car in the fact that if I'm financing a car, our conversation is about budget.
Yeah.
Right? How does this adjust my monthly payment?
Yeah.
If I'm writing a check, it's about how much is coming out of my operating capital, you know, me as a person, and that's a different scenario. If you're going to get me write a check for $4,000 more than this car I'm buying for 20 grand,
Yeah.
you better have something that makes this thing spectacular,
Sure.
right? And that's why F&I managers get stumbled on cash deals. But the thing that you have to understand is you have to make it more about value and less about price.
Yeah.
Because you can discount it all you want to discount it, but even if they take it then, what'd you gain? You
Yeah,
didn't
right.
gain anything.
That's right.
But if you can build value and you can show that, you know, and I'm big on this. Matter of fact, I just wrote an article for Automotive Remarketing about the time value of money. If you can take a minute to explain to the customer that it's not about if something breaks or goes bad, you won't be able to pay for it.
Right.
You're writing a check for this car.
Right.
It's about the time that it's going to cost you to take care of paying for it.
That's right.
You go in and you get it diagnosed, which is probably going to take you, you know, 2 weeks to get your car in anyway.
Yeah.
Then they're going to call you and say, hey, we don't have this in stock because cars are built for technicians, not mechanics. They replace it, not repair it. And so once they get it in, then you got to go back, then you got to go back, then you got to go back, then you
Yeah.
get the phone call, hey, while we had this apart, we noticed that you need, you know, and it never
Right,
ends.
right.
Versus if you're going to transfer that liability back to me as a dealer, I'm going to show you a level of service that no one else can.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's why I think it's important that you really go home and really just drive that home that this is where the value lives. This is what makes us different. And so to me, that's the number one objection right now in the marketplace is, you know, I'm not interested. And the ultimate objection, whether, you know, no matter what the customer says, is it's because they don't understand.
Right.
And that you haven't done a good enough job
That's right.
explaining where the value
That's
lives
right.
and why it's important.
And all too often when a customer says to an F&I manager, I'm not interested, no thanks, they typically stop right there, right? They don't say, well, I understand, but let me tell you what you're declining, okay? And then if you still want to decline, that's up to you. Most just kind of stop, don't they?
Yeah, they stop at the first sign of no. It's I forget who said it, but they said if you knew that after you ask 100 times that you would get every yes after that. If you walk through 100 no's, then you'd get yeses. Moving forward,
you'd keep going.
You'd keep going,
That's
right?
right.
So if you don't ask, and there's a right way and a wrong way to ask. I'm not going to ask, well, why don't you want to do it?
Yeah.
And the attitude shift, right?
That's right.
Because then
that's right. That's what I had.
Yeah, all I did was just tank our dealership survey, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But if I ask, hey, listen, I understand what you're saying, but let me just share something with you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why this is important to us as a store. If you don't enroll in our service contract, or I call it a parts and labor contract, that's kind of my claim to fame. I've stuck myself to those two words.
Gotcha.
If you don't enroll in our parts and labor contract, you're going to take on two major risks. One, if something breaks or goes bad, you have to pay for it.
Right.
And two, if that happens, you'll never come back and do business with us again.
Right.
Even though we didn't build it,
Yeah.
I'm where you bought it. And
That's
people
right.
don't remember the manufacturer, they remember the dealer.
That's
and so, that is one of the things that I think, to me, that's the best way to overcome, I'm not interested, thanks anyway.
Yeah. There's no question about it. That's really great. So Cory 3K Collins, speaker and National F&I Trainer for Automotive Reinsurance Concepts. Thank you so much for stopping by the studio. This is great. I know you're in town here in Atlanta. You're going to be speaking at one of your 20 meetings, so congratulations and good luck to you on that. And you're always welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. This was incredible. I'm
awesome.
very happy to be here.
Now you can call your mom and say you're
That's
on TV.
right. She'll be so excited. My mom's she's my biggest fan.
There you go.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
There you go. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.